My husband said he was working late. I remember standing in the kitchen staring at the clock, watching the seconds drag like they were mocking me. Dinner was cold. My phone sat in my hand silent. Then it buzzed. A message from my younger sister. Just one photo. I almost didn't open it. But when I did, everything inside me stopped. It was him. No mistake. No confusion. My husband. Sitting across a small table in a quiet restaurant. Leaning forward, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. And across from him, my mother. Her hand was on his. Not casual. Not innocent. Intimate. I couldn't breathe. For a moment I actually thought it was fake. Edited. Some kind of sick misunderstanding. Then my phone rang. It was him. I answered. Hey, he said, calm, warm. Still at work. Long night. I closed my eyes. You're at work? I asked, my voice barely holding together. Yeah. Why? I looked back at the photo. His hand. Her hand. And suddenly, something inside me cracked. Because he didn't even hesitate. Not for a second. He lied like it was nothing. And that's when I realized. This wasn't the first lie. It was just the first one I caught. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I just stood there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to him talk about fake deadlines and fake meetings, while I stared at the truth in my hands. He sounded so normal. That was the scariest part. Don't wait up, he said softly. I'll be home late. I won't, I replied. And for the first time, I meant it in a different way. We hung up. I didn't move for a long time. Then I did something small. Simple. I texted my mother. Hey, what are you doing? The typing bubble appeared almost instantly. I'm home resting. Why? I felt my stomach drop. 2 eyes. Same night. Same calm tone. Like they were reading from the same script. I stared at her message, my fingers trembling above the screen. Then I typed back, just checking. Love you. The words felt disgusting. Like everything else suddenly was. I sat down slowly, my legs weak. Because now it wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was something bigger. Something planned. Something practiced. And deep down, a terrifying thought started forming. What if this didn't just start recently? Called my sister. She didn't pick up right away. That alone told me everything. When she finally answered, her voice was quiet. Hey, you sent that photo, I said. No emotion. Just facts. Pause. Then, yeah. I swallowed hard. When did you take it? Another pause. And then she said something that made my chest tighten. I didn't take it tonight. Silence filled the line. What do you mean? I asked slowly. I've seen them before. The room spun. How many times? My voice cracked. I don't know. A few. A few. That word hit harder than anything else. Because it meant this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't new. This was ongoing. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. She inhaled shakily. I didn't know how. I thought maybe I was wrong. I hoped I was wrong. I laughed, but it didn't sound like me. You weren't wrong. Another silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Then she said softly, I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes. But suddenly, I wasn't just hurt. I was behind. Everyone else had seen something I hadn't. And I couldn't stop wondering. How long have I been the only one in the dark? That night I didn't sleep. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment I had ignored. Every late night. Every canceled plan. Every time he turned his phone away from me. At the time I told myself it was stress. Work pressure. Life. But now it felt like I had been watching a different story entirely. And I was the only one who didn't know the plot. I remembered the way he started pulling away months ago. The way conversations became shorter. Colder. The way he stopped looking at me like I mattered. My mother. I thought about her sudden visits. Her strange comments about my marriage. You should trust him more. He works hard. Don't push him away. At the time it sounded like advice. Now it sounded like manipulation. Guidance. Control. I turned onto my side, gripping the blanket tightly. Because the worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the realization that I had been managed. Played. By 2 people I trusted more than anyone. And the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This wasn't random. This was planned. I wanted to scream. To call them both out. to demand answers right then and there. But something stopped me. A quiet voice in the back of my mind. If I confront them now, they'll lie. They've already proven that. No hesitation. No guilt. Just smooth, effortless lies. And if they lie again, I'll have nothing. No proof. No control. No leverage. I sat up slowly, wiping my face. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about pain. It was about survival. If they were hiding something this big, then there was more. There had to be. And I needed to see all of it. Not just the surface. So I made a decision. I would act like I didn't know. I would smile. I would play along. And I would watch. Carefully. Quietly. Until the truth showed itself completely. Because one thing was clear now. They thought I was weak. They thought I would break. So the next night, I followed him. The next evening I kissed him goodbye like nothing had changed. Long night again? I asked lightly. He smiled. Yeah. Same as yesterday. Same lie. I nodded, pretending not to notice. Then I waited. 10 minutes after he left. I grabbed my keys. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped them. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding with every turn he made. He didn't go toward his office. Not even close. Instead he took a route I didn't recognize. One I had never seen him take before. That alone made my chest tighten. Because it meant this wasn't new to him. He knew exactly where he was going. I stayed far enough back so he wouldn't notice. Every second felt like it stretched forever. Until finally he slowed down. And turned into a quiet street. He parked. I stopped further down, barely breathing. And then I saw it. A small apartment building. Nothing special. Nothing obvious. But something about it felt wrong. Then I saw someone step out to meet him. And my entire body went numb. It was her. My mother. She walked toward him like she belonged there. Like this was normal. Like this wasn't destroying me. He smiled when he saw her. Not the polite smile he gave at family dinners. A real one. Warm. Soft. Intimate. Then she reached him. And without hesitation, they hugged. Not like family. Not even close. Her hands lingered on him. His stayed on her waist. I felt something inside me shatter. Because there was no misunderstanding now. No confusion. No explanation that could fix this. This was real. Completely real. And then he pulled out keys. And unlocked the door. Like he lived there. Like this place was theirs. Together. They walked inside without looking back. Without knowing I was there. Watching everything fall apart. And as the door closed behind them, I realized I wasn't looking at a mistake. I was looking at a secret life. I stayed in my car for hours. I don't even remember breathing. I just stared at that door. Waiting. Hoping something would make sense. But nothing did. Time passed slowly. Painfully. Until finally the door opened again. They came out together. Laughing. Comfortable. Like this was routine. Like they had done this 100 times before. He leaned close to her, whispering something that made her smile. Then he left. And she went back inside. Alone. I waited another 10 minutes before driving home. My hands were numb on the steering wheel. My thoughts, louder than ever. When he walked through the door later that night. He kissed me. Hey, he said casually. I forced a smile. Hey. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. He wasn't scared. He wasn't worried. Because in his mind, I had no idea. But what I didn't know yet was that this wasn't even the worst part. That night I did something I had never done before. I checked his phone. My hands trembled as I picked it up. Part of me still didn't want to see it. But I had to. I unlocked it easily. He never thought I'd try. That was his first mistake. I opened his messages. Scrolled. Nothing unusual at first. Work chats. Random contacts. Then I saw it. A name I didn't recognize. But the messages, they felt different. Personal. Careful. I opened the thread. And my heart dropped. It was her. My mother. Saved under a fake name. The messages weren't just emotional. They were intimate. Planned. Photos. Times. Meetings. Everything. My hands started shaking again. But then I saw something worse. A message that made my blood run cold. Once everything is in place, she won't have anything left. I froze. But suddenly, this wasn't just betrayal. This was something much darker. I kept reading. Even though every word felt like it was cutting deeper. They weren't just talking about each other. They were talking about me. Like I was a problem. An obstacle. Something to remove. There were messages about money. About the house. About accounts I didn't even know existed. My mother. She wasn't just involved. She was leading it. Guiding him. Telling him what to do. What to say. How to act around me. I felt sick. Because everything suddenly made sense. Every argument. Every doubt. Every moment I questioned myself. Was planted. Carefully. By her. Through him. This wasn't love. This was strategy. And I had been the center of it. Without even knowing. I dropped the phone onto the bed staring at the wall. Because the truth was no longer unclear. It was sharp. Cold. And undeniable. They didn't just betray me. They were planning to take everything from me. I locked myself in the bathroom. Turned on the shower so he wouldn't hear me. And I broke. Silently. Completely. I cried until my chest hurt. Until my hands shook. Until I barely recognized myself in the mirror. Because this wasn't just pain. It was humiliation. I had trusted them. Defended them. Loved them. And they used that. Every part of it. I leaned against the sink staring at my reflection. Red eyes. Pale skin. Someone I didn't recognize anymore. For a moment. I felt small. Powerless. Exactly how they saw me. Then something shifted. Slowly. Quietly. But clearly. I stopped crying. I wiped my face. And I looked at myself again. Because if they thought I was weak. If they thought I would fall apart. They didn't know me at all. Not really. Not anymore. Because in that moment. I made a decision. I wasn't going to lose. The next morning I smiled at him. Made breakfast. Acted normal. Like nothing had changed. And he believed it. That was his second mistake. Because while he thought I was still blind. I was seeing everything. I started paying attention. Every word. Every move. Every small detail I had ignored before. And I started collecting. Screenshots. Photos. Dates. Times. Patterns. I became quiet. Careful. Precise. I didn't rush. I didn't react. I just built my truth piece by piece. Because now I understood something important. This wasn't about catching them. It was about proving everything. Completely. Undeniably. So when the moment came, they wouldn't be able to lie their way out. And then, I found something that made my heart stop. A document. Hidden. Carefully saved. With my name on it. And what it said, changed everything again. I opened the document slowly. My hands were steady now. Not shaking anymore. That part of me was gone. What replaced it was something colder. Clear. Focused. The document wasn't long. But every word mattered. It outlined a plan. Step by step. How to make me seem unstable. How to isolate me. How to push me out of my own home. Legally. My mother's ideas. My husband's execution. Together. Working against me. I read it twice. Then a third time. Just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. But I wasn't. This was real. Carefully thought out. Prepared. They didn't just want to betray me. They wanted to erase me. And take everything I had built. I closed the document slowly. Took a deep breath. And for the first time, I didn't feel broken. I felt ready. As now. I finally understood the game they were playing. And I was about to change the rules. The next few days I became someone else. Soft. Calm. Supportive. I laughed at his jokes again. I asked about his long nights. I even apologized for being distant. And he believed me. That was the terrifying part. He didn't question it. Not once. If anything, he relaxed. I could see it in the way he moved around me now. More confident. Less careful. Like the pressure was gone. Like the hardest part of his plan was already done. And my mother? She started visiting more often. Sitting in my living room like nothing had changed. Looking at me with those same eyes that used to comfort me as a child. But now I saw something else behind them. Calculation. Every word she said felt measured. Every smile, rehearsed. And I played along. I nodded. I listened. I even hugged her goodbye. Because now I understood something important. They weren't just watching me. They were studying me. And so, I studied them back. And the more comfortable they became, the more careless they got. I didn't wait any longer. I needed someone on my side. someone who saw this clearly. So I contacted a lawyer. Quietly. Privately. I didn't tell anyone. Not even my sister. When I sat across from him, my hands were steady, but my voice wasn't. At first. Then I showed him everything. The messages. The photos. The document. He didn't interrupt. Didn't react immediately. He just listened. Carefully. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then he leaned forward slightly and said something I didn't expect. "You're not the one who's going to lose here." I blinked. Because for the first time since this started, someone wasn't looking at me with pity. He explained my rights. My options. What I could do. Wiggly. Freely. Completely. And as he spoke, something inside me grew stronger. Clearer. Because now, I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was planning. I moved carefully. Every step had to be right. Every decision, intentional. With my lawyer's guidance, I started protecting what was mine. Accounts. Documents. Everything they thought they could take from me. I began locking down. Wiggly. Quietly. Nothing dramatic. No sudden moves. Just small, precise actions. The kind no one notices until it's too late. At home, everything stayed the same. I cooked. I smiled. I listened. And he kept talking. More openly now. More freely. Because in his mind, I trusted him again. But behind that calm surface, I was building something stronger than anything they had planned. A foundation they couldn't touch. And the best part? They had no idea. Not yet. But their confidence was growing. And confidence makes people careless. It started with small things. He stopped hiding his phone as much. Took calls in the same room. Lowered his voice. But not enough. My mother became bolder too. Dropping hints. Making comments about new beginnings. About letting go of the past. She thought I didn't understand. But I did. Perfectly. And every time they spoke. Every time they slipped. I recorded it. Saved it. Added it to the truth I was building. Because now it wasn't just evidence. It was a pattern. A clear, undeniable pattern. Of lies. Manipulation. Control. They weren't just betraying me anymore. They were exposing themselves. Piece by piece. Without even realizing it. And I let them. I encouraged it. Because the more they talked, the less they could deny later. Until one night, they said something they couldn't take back. It happened late. He thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I heard his voice from the other room. Oh, careful. But not careful enough. I picked up my phone and recorded. At first it was the usual. Plans. Timing. Frustration. Then his tone changed. "She's not suspecting anything," he said. Pause. Then my mother's voice. "She never does." I felt my chest tighten. But I stayed still. Silent. Listening. Then came the words that ended everything. "Once we finalize everything, she'll be out. Completely. No doubt. No confusion. Just truth. Clear and undeniable." I stopped the recording slowly. Because that was it. The final piece. The one thing they could never explain away. Never twist. Never deny. I had everything now. Everything I needed. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of them anymore. I didn't act right away. That's what they expected. Emotion. Reaction. Chaos. But I gave them none of that. I waited. I organized everything. Every file. Every recording. Every message. Built into something clear. Something undeniable. My lawyer prepared the legal side. Carefully. Strategically. And I prepared the moment. Because this wasn't going to be a fight. No screaming. No begging. No breakdown. Just truth. Delivered at the right time. In the right way. And when it happened, they wouldn't be able to run from it. I looked at my reflection that night. And for the first time, I didn't see someone broken. I saw someone ready. So I invited them both to dinner. They both said yes. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they? To them, everything was under control. We sat at the table like a normal family. Talking. Laughing. Pretending. My husband reached for my hand. My mother smiled at me. And for a moment, it almost felt real again. Almost. But I knew better now. I let the conversation flow. Let them relax. Let them believe this was just another night. Then slowly, I reached for my phone. placed it on the table, and pressed play. At first they didn't react. Just confusion. Then recognition. Then silence. Their voices filled the room. Their own words. Their own plans. Their own betrayal. And everything changed. Because now, they couldn't pretend anymore. The moment the recording ended, everything collapsed. My husband stood up too fast. That's not what it sounds like. But his voice shook. For the first time, he wasn't in control. My mother didn't speak. He just stared at me, like she was trying to figure out when she lost. I stayed calm, sitting there, watching them. You lied, I said simply. No emotion. Just truth. That's not, he started again. But I didn't let him finish. I opened another file. More messages. More proof. I slid the phone across the table. Read it, I said. He didn't. Because he already knew. There was nothing left to explain. Nothing left to hide. The silence that followed was heavier than anything else. Then I said the one thing they weren't ready for. I already filed everything. The words landed slowly. But when they did, I saw it. Panic. Real panic. What do you mean? He asked. I stood up. Calm. Steady. I mean, the house, the accounts, everything you planned to take. I paused. It's no longer yours to touch. My mother finally spoke. You wouldn't. I already did. Her expression changed. Because she realized something important. This wasn't a threat. It was done. Legally. Completely. And there was nothing they could do about it. They had spent months planning against me. And in a few weeks, I had undone all of it. Without them noticing. Without them stopping me. And then, everything they built started falling apart. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Then reality hit them. Hard. Accounts frozen. Access restricted. Legal notices delivered. Everything they thought they controlled. Gone. My husband tried calling. Messaging. Explaining. But I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. My mother tried too. Different tone this time. Not confident. Not calculated. Desperate. But it didn't change anything. Because the truth doesn't disappear once it's exposed. And neither do consequences. Their plan had been precise. Careful. Cruel. But mine was final. They didn't just lose me. They lost everything they tried to build behind my back. And for the first time, they understood what it felt like. To have no control. And I walked away without looking back. Leaving wasn't easy. Even after everything. Because part of me still remembered who they used to be. Or who I thought they were. But I didn't hesitate. Not anymore. I packed what I needed. Closed the door behind me. And stepped into something new. Something unknown. But mine. Completely mine. For the first time in a long time. I felt light. Not because the pain was gone. But because the truth was no longer hidden. I wasn't being controlled. Manipulated. Or used. I was free. And that freedom was worth everything. But the biggest change wasn't outside. It was inside me. Strange how one moment can change everything. For me, it was a photo. A single image that broke my heart. And opened my eyes. At the time I thought it destroyed me. But now, I see it differently. It revealed the truth. It showed me who they really were. And more importantly, it showed me who I needed to become. Stronger. Wiser. Unbreakable. They lost everything trying to take from me. And I gained everything by finally seeing clearly. So if you're listening to this, and you feel like something isn't right, trust that feeling. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't come to hurt you. It comes to free you. And that photo, it didn't ruin my life. It saved it.